Hello, good afternoon, and we are back and the opportunity to make an interview to an amazing professional human being woman and Latina, Alexandria Ayala, in this series that we have introduced during the month of March, talking about Women History Month. So today we have Alexandria Ayala, the first Hispanic Latina woman to be elected in the school board for the Palm Beach County. And we are very honored to have you here today.
Thank you, Yulimar. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm so glad to participate in this initiative, in this series, celebrating women and our accomplishments and our history and how far we have left to go. So I'm excited to be here and talk about it a little bit.
The first thing I always ask my guests here, please go ahead and list your achievements. You put their professional, personal, whatever you want to put, but we start by emulating the behavior, right? So list your achievements and go ahead and tell us, share with us.
That's like our least comfortable thing to do. Even when they introduce me and read my bio, I'm like, it's hard to imagine that that's you because you're just living life every day, right? And then you have a track record of doing things that sound so impressive. But so a little bit about me. I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved to Palm Beach County when I was 7 years old. So that's about 22 years ago now. And we've lived in Palm Beach County the whole time. And it was, my mom is an educator. My dad and my mom moved me from Puerto Rico to have better educational opportunity, to make sure that, like many of us, right, like many Latinos, that's our story, the pursuit of higher education and better for us so that we could become the success stories our parents wanted us to be. So I went to school in 3 schools in Palm Beach County School District, all 3 in the district that I now represent, which is very special to me to be able to come home to the 3 schools that helped me become who I am today and make sure that same opportunity, if not better, with more opportunity is available for the kids that attend there now. I went to school, graduated from John I. Leonard High School, went to the University of Central Florida in Orlando, where I received my bachelor's in arts of political science and journalism studies. And that involvement started on the college campus. I initially went to study nursing, didn't work out for me. I commend people that go into medical professions. It is tough. And I wanted to pivot to find another way to help people because that's always what's driven me. How can I be engaged and support people in my community and give back, right? If you have talents, you give them back. That's kind of how I was raised and what I was taught. So I studied politics because I liked connecting with communities. And I liked the reality that who you elect has a direct impact on your life. And electing good people and voting in general, participating and voting for good people is a very important thing to do. And especially when in some of our home countries, voting wasn't always easy or available. So we have a real privilege and a real honor that we get to go vote and elect our representatives. And I loved hearing what communities needed to have their lives be better by people who were in government, whether that was local, state, or federal. So I started working for the Florida legislature when I was 21. I worked for the Florida House of Representatives, and I hadn't even finished college yet. But a friend of mine said, hey, the state representative, Victor Torres, who is also Puerto Riqueño, he represents parts of Orlando in the state Senate now, but at the time he was in the House. And they told me he needed some help. So I started working there, and that completely opened my eyes to the issues that Floridians struggle with. And I had heard a lot about the education issues because, again, mommy is a teacher. So she came home often and shared her frustrations and her experiences and how things could be so much better if they only changed this or that. But I got to see people that couldn't afford even a hotel to live in, that were living in their cars, that were making poverty wages, that were in horrible situations and just looking for someone to give them a stable hand so they could get back on their feet. So I worked there for 2 years, and that experience was kind of the door opener for everything that came after, again, because a mentor of mine believed in me and opened the door for me. And then I got the chance to move back to Palm Beach County. And I worked on a United States Senate campaign, which was a huge opportunity. I got to travel all over the state and the country with the candidate and understand how a campaign works, like the other side of it, right? Not just the government side, but the political side of how that person even gets there in the first place. and I got to come back home, which was great. I loved Orlando, but South Florida is South Florida, right? So I was excited to come back home and be in Palm Beach with our beautiful county and around my Latinos. It's very diverse here. Orlando near the university was a little bit less so. I need to have my cafecito and my empanadilla in a corner somewhere, everywhere I go. So when I came back, I then worked on campaigns for about 4 years. I helped elect a city councilwoman in Palm Beach Gardens, who is now the mayor, Rochelle Litt. I helped one of our friends, I'm sure mutual, Adriana Gonzalez, was running for a minute for state house, and then some things in her life changed and she had to not run and come back at another time, but I helped her start her campaign, and I helped people that I believed in get in the political process. Then during that time, Mayor Bob Weinroth from Boca Raton, who had been on the council, is elected, and he asks me, would you want to come serve on my staff at the county commission for Palm Beach County? And I, of course, said yes. I was there for 2 years from when he was elected until I left, because I had been elected to the school board, and it was kind of a conflict of interest. But what I learned there, I mean, Palm Beach County operates at a very high level. We are responsible for 1.5 million residents every day. We are responsible for about 1,000 people moving into the state every day, if not more, and how many of those end up here in Palm Beach County. So I learned every facet, whether that was public safety, environmental concerns, whether it was how are we protecting our land and developing smartly, or whether it was how are we taking care of people when the pandemic started. And I was still working there when we were making all sorts of decisions with very little information. As everybody knows, we were all in the dark about that. And I then decided to run for office because I felt I had the qualifications from my experiences in my career to be good at the job. That was always number one, right? Because I think we always want to elevate people that need to be in spaces to have representation, but they also have to have the qualifications. And I felt like I had done the work of understanding from a big picture. This is kind of my world. I've worked in government and in trying to help other people who are in situations like where I grew up climb up from that and help themselves to become the kind of citizens they want to be with dignity. And I ran because I was unhappy with the representation that the predecessor was providing. I was passionate about the area because I had gone to 3 schools, graduated from those schools, and I know the community. And I wanted the representation. For decades before Alexandria Ayala was even a name in anyone's mouth, Hispanic leaders have been working in this county to get that representation on the board. And so I am honored and stand on their shoulders for the work they've done to make it possible that it could even be reality that a public would elect a Hispanic to the school board. And you think about it, 37, if not more, 37% district-wide. And in my district, which I represent, which is District 2, 51% of students we serve are Hispanic Latino.
Wow.
And there was not, can you believe that? And there was not a culturally sensitive, relevant voice on the board. And I can tell you, I hope to get into it, a little bit here, but in the short time I've been there, which is about 1.5 years at this point, November, it'll be 2 years. And it feels like 5 with everything we've gone through with COVID and learning.
I don't see your gray hairs yet, but it's going to come.
Not yet, but they're coming. No te preocupes que vienen por ahí. And it's just been, a learning curve of drinking from a fire hose, baptism by fire, all the things you want to say. But in that short time, when I have employees, administrators, families, students, parents come to me and say, because of your presence there, we see a difference in how outcomes are being determined. Because of your presence there, I feel like I have somewhere to share my story without judgment. Because of your presence there, things are going to be better. That's it. That's the reason I did this in the first place. That's the reason I am happy and proud and honored to do this every day, even when it gets hard, and it has been hard. I feel just completely full because there is a cultural specific passion in education in our community. Education is a big part of who we are, of what we strive for, and of what we are taught is something no one takes from you, that is for your own pride and development, and that you can hold the strong and say, I'm qualified, I'm experienced, and I can lift myself up out of any situation. So I feel, that my journey so far is a credit to an amazing mom and an amazing supportive family system, which everybody who is successful credits someone for supporting them. And for me, my mom has been my role model, my support system. Losing my dad very young, we both had to adapt to that. And it was very challenging. And she carried us through. I don't know how, because she went from never dealing with the finances to everything being on her. And she made sure that I never had to feel it. So that was one. People who opened their hearts and hands to me, right? People who saw in me, let me take a chance on you. Let me give you this opportunity, even if it wasn't the most, I'm sure there are always qualified people, but something about me, they saw a drive, a passion, and they gave me that opportunity.
You're absolutely right, because you're mentioning so many great points, and I'm really glad that we have this opportunity so you can share not only those achievements, but also the path, let's say, because pretty much you grew up in the system that you are now an agent of transformation. And I love to hear that, because from inside, you have been on the campaigning side, you have been on the all different aspects, making the law, helping or making the law. And so that is a very different perspective. And also one thing that you mentioned there that I feel is very important as well, because this is what we do. I hate practically everything that we are talking about, mostly, of course, entrepreneur and business owners, has to do with the cultural element. And we always call the cultural element like the invisible, either friend or enemy, because if you know it and you understand where you're coming from, and what is the value that you bring into the table, and also what are the new things that you need to adopt, then you are the best of the two worlds. As I see you are the best of the two worlds. And then if you do not acknowledge, or you don't know what are we talking about, that's why it's called the background, cultural background. It's an enemy, because you don't know why are the things not matching. And it's because we are here in this new, beautiful land of opportunity, as I see you there, really making the changes and taking in us the responsibility to serve the people that we come from and that we are part now of. You were saying something as well, it takes a village. So how important through your time, since you started so young and you have already done so much, because the part of participation of women involved, some people said, I don't like politics, but the truth is that we are all part of the system, and we all have to be a conscious part of a system by making a choice, which is, voting and participating. But in your case, through your career, how important have you seen the mentoring, or how are you paying forward mentoring the new generation?
I started this when I was 18, 19 years old. I just turned 29 earlier this month. And I gave the path because naming the achievements is great, but people need to know and feel heard when it's not just the achievements. Sometimes the path is hard, complicated, long, windy, and sometimes your expectations and what actually happens don't line up. So I want people to know that through all of that, there were challenges, sacrifices made, and everything, right? All the good stuff comes from having good people around me and from going through the failures, the mistakes, and coming out on the other side. So I think the path is so important because it doesn't just show the highs, it shows the entire story. But to answer your question about the mentoring, I mean, like I mentioned, when I changed my major, I met this guy named Alex Barrio, who's still a friend. He's Cuban. He's from Miami, and he was running the campaign for a state representative who represented the UCF campus. And we got to getting to know each other from volunteering. I would volunteer, knock on doors, make phone calls, and he was at the office. And I really liked the representative's platform, and he was running for re-election. So I said, hey, can I do any more for you all? And I got to tell you, it was super beneficial that I'm bilingual. My first language es español. Yo soy fluente en escribir, hablar, entender. And they wanted me to do Hispanic outreach with the community around Orlando, which helped me. It was an asset, right? So something I tell everyone, and especially young people, is don't lose it and learn it and cherish that you get to speak two languages, because that's a superpower. But I came on because he said, I see a drive in you. I'm going to give you a chance. Then a friend of mine, how I got back to Palm Beach County was, he said, my friend who we worked on this campaign back in Orlando, she's actually from Palm Beach. Would you want her to come down and work on this campaign team? So he made the connection. That was a friend I made by connecting and networking and outreaching to my community. He gave me the opportunity. They met me, handed me the opportunity to come work on this campaign. When Mayor Weinroth, picked up the phone cold, I didn't apply for that job. He called me because he had seen my work in the community, and he wanted somebody bilingual on his staff. And he was interested in, I had done a lot of work with connecting with communities and getting them engaged to vote. And I understood our neighborhoods. I understand the reality of what people struggle with. So I had insights that were valuable to him. So that was, sometimes when you're doing the work, you don't even know who's watching. And there are so many people that look to all of us in how we strive, how we behave, and having those mentors is what opened doors for me. So now I take it upon myself to mentor various young women. They all happen to be women, but if there was a male young man who was interested, I would take them too. And I have a really close relationship with a young man actually who graduated from Dreyfus last year, who's at UF now, because he brought me ideas on how to make the processes at the district more equitable for students applying to choice programs. So I'm always open to those conversations. And the things that I find is that sometimes you learn more from your mentee than they may learn from you. So I take time out of a very busy schedule to mentor right now about 5 young women. 2 are at university, 2 are in our school system right now as sophomore and a junior, and 1 is a senior who is graduating this May. And she's interested in a medical career. So I'm trying to help her get set up to get her BSN and then maybe her RN. So it's really important that, and they're, just so you know, they're all women of color. They're either Black or Latinas. And I rarely asked them, can I mentor you? It was, they saw me and they understood that the things I was saying in my life looked a lot like theirs. And they asked me, can you mentor me? So that's the beauty, again, of why the representation matters, the visibility matters, because if you can see it, you can be it.
Absolutely.
And that's my story. I wouldn't be where I am without my mentors. And I hope to do just a little bit of that for the future.
So right now, we understand, for example, when your family came, they were looking for better opportunities and mostly for a better education. And when we come to the United States, we always say, hey, are the acronym of Hispanic Entrepreneur Initiative, but at the same time, it's Hispanic, emprendedor, and immigrant, right? Like, so you have, this is a coincidence, of course, but we have this whole process, transformational process that we come with, that we are, again, recognizing through the things that we live in this country, the value that we're bringing to not only to our community, to our different industries and sectors, that the value that we are taking when we take pride and we do it well and we adopt the best practices in this new land, then it's so much better. It's like power at many factors, right? But for us, education is very important. So we see that is an element of like socioeconomic mobility, saying that our families definitely get better when one of us moves forward, when one of us can achieve a degree, or we can definitely go through the process of being educated. And also we see that the Latinos are the fastest growing minority in the United States, period. Let's just not talk about the fact that South Florida, we are in the big numbers right now, and by 2040, we're going to be definitely way beyond the 25% that is estimated. Right now, it is more. So with this big growth of Latinos in the United States, and especially in South Florida, with this circumstance post-COVID world where the Great Resignation is happening, where you see so many women out there that are trying or working in creating a new world, a new life, a new way to do things. How have you seen through your career? Because you have already almost 10 years of working on this, more than 10 years. How have you seen the evolution of women, and especially Latinas, in both in education, in legislature, or also in the campaign side, in the public sector? How have you seen it, and what do you foresee in the future for us?
I absolutely think the future is female. I think that women being in positions of power is a game changer. I think we organize different, we speak different, we think different, and it is a unique value that we bring to conversations about any topic. But especially when you're talking about something as important as government decisions, which affect hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people. It has been, I mean, looking at history, right? I'm not yet married. I don't yet have a child. I'm 29 years old and I'm Latina. I should not be on the school board, right? The stereotype and the prototype for a school board member is a 56-year-old white male or female. I don't fit any, and typically they have children because they're already in later age. I don't fit any of the boxes. And I did face some challenges when running, but I think that a good message and a good heart and passion and experience can cut through anything. It's not for anyone to tell you what you're qualified to do. So women who were expected, I should be like a spinster at this point, 29, I'm not married. I should be at home taking care of some kids, cooking dinner. Like none of that is the case anymore. In my career, I've seen it go from women being afraid to run, questioning their own qualifications, questioning their own experience, and putting their lives on the back burner to have families, which is not fair. There is a way to balance it and have both. If you have a supportive partner, a supportive family, and if you are able to give of your time, and manage your time with the support from the work that you're doing. So now you're seeing women and women of color run for office, win these seats, outperform their male counterparts of any race, and voters resonating with that message. So it is really inspiring to see, just in Palm Beach County alone, in these March elections that we had just a few weeks ago. I'm on the school board. We had Susie Diaz-Piesco from Green Acres win her election. She's Cuban. We had Angela Cruz win her election. She is in Boynton Beach. She's Colombian. We have Yvette Drucker in Boca Raton, Cuban. We have Michelle McGovern, who's running for office, and she's Puerto Rican and could be a Hispanic female county commissioner if she wins her seat in District 6. And that's not even counting some of the men that we have that are Hispanic. And we need our male colleagues and friends to be supportive and be our friends and be in our circle, right? It's not all about, it has to be Latinas all the time, but it's great to see women be able to run, be competitive, win, and have a seat at the table where the most important decisions are made. And this is all over. You look at our Congress, you're seeing young women run and win for political office in districts that previously had only elected white males. And that says something about what the public is looking for. They're looking for relevant, topical people who understand their experiences. And I think that as women, we have so much inside of us, like a unique way to connect with people. And we understand situations and look at them differently with more compassion, and we're able to relate. And I think that voters recognize that. So I see from my career, I've seen it only improve. We have, 2 women right now running for governor of the state of Florida, one who is Latina. I see it only getting better and better and better. And I see a real change in bodies and in governments that have leaders that are women. The way that women make decisions is different. And that is a good thing.
I truly appreciate, of course, I enjoy my job so much because it's not a job, it's definitely a passion and it's a mission. And then when I hear you, because the diversity element, and I always say this, everybody knows, so that we are the diversity. And even in the conversation of diversity, when depending on who is initiating the conversation and in what side of the table you are, let's put it that way, it sounds very different. So to see accomplishment and to see actions and to see that there is not only a path, but results that are there, they exist, and that it's definitely very, very inspiring. I'm very sure not only for me, but for every single woman and young woman that is out there just saying, maybe I should pursue a political career, or I should pursue being a public servant. And that is something that it just makes me very happy. So I am so glad that we're having this conversation. Absolutely. You had no idea. I have seen, and I shared with you the future is female. I agree with that. Everybody has something very good to bring to the table. I understand that. But yes, the very own system is requiring and is allowing, because it's happening. We are happening. And I feel so much, sky's the limit, and there is so much growth and so much space to learn and to share and to do things different. Now to close here, because it has been, very, very happy for my heart and for my spirit as well. And I'm very sure for all the people that are following this conversation, what would be your message for all of those women out there, or anybody that is just looking up to you and say, wow, look at this. This is a rocket. It's going up. What is that message that you have to share with us, women, Latina, that are listening?
I share all the sentiments. I'm just overjoyed when I get to talk about this, because there's so much going on in the world that isn't positive, that feeling these good vibes and knowing that we're making positive change in the right direction on something is a good thing. But I have so much, I've learned so much, and I learn so much every day about who I want to be, how I want my life to play out. And I've been, given this tremendous opportunity to serve in a way that hasn't been done before, and to trailblaze to ensure that that path continues, right? And that I'm the first, but I'm not the last. So I it's been challenging. And I tell women out there who are watching this with us, number one, don't doubt yourself. You know what you're made of, you know what you can accomplish, and your story is yours. So no one can discredit you, because you know what you have put in and what got you to where you are. So when you doubt what you can bring to the table, or if you're qualified, or if you should do something, or if you should wait, don't wait. A lot of people don't ask themselves to wait, and they really need to ask themselves to wait. So if you feel that you are passionate about something, if you can make something better than it is with your presence, do it. Don't ask the questions, get involved, do what you got to do. Second is, don't let criticism, hardships, challenges derail you. It is very hard, especially if someone's considering going into public office, because that means a public life. And that means, eyes on parts of your life that you might not have had before. And that can be challenging to adjust to. When you see your face on the TV, or you see your name in the paper, or you see someone on social media saying something about you, and that's the moments when you have to come back to your core. Who am I? Why am I doing this? And I tell myself things like, esa gente no me pagan los biles. Okay. I got my family. I got my friends. I know who I am. I know why I'm doing this. I got me and up there, and that's what I need. This is not for anybody else's discussion. Obviously, holding yourself accountable and being held accountable is one thing, but negative criticism that is just meant to hurt, it's tough. And you have to be able to come into yourself and remember everybody who supports you, because there are always more people that support you that don't, if you're doing what's right by the people that you need to represent. And then finally is, women, take care of yourselves. We are so used to taking everything on for everyone in our lives, whether it's our children, our parents, and you were talking about when we succeed, that we're like this with our familias. We are helping the previous generations, right? Whether that's financially, with our time, making sure that they have a better source of living from our success is very important to us as Latinos. Me and my mom are like this, and I'm there for her. I support her. And that's because of the success I've been able to have, that I can even do that. Because right now, cost of living is not going down and things are a little tight. So I help her out and I help out everybody. And as women, we like to absorb it all in. We don't do a good job of stopping, pausing, putting everything down. No, the house doesn't need to be vacuumed right now. No, if you order takeout and you don't cook, your family will not hate you. Just relax, take time for yourself, because without you being full, you can't give anymore. And I have experienced times in my career, like full burnout, like I'm bedridden in a dark room, leave me alone, because I pushed myself too much. And we want to be everything to everyone, and we want to be involved and we want to give back. But if you're not at your best, nothing is going to be good. And then you're just in this frustration cycle. So whether that's exercise, yoga, reading a book, sitting on your couch and watching TV, the Netflix binge, whatever it is for you, take that time for yourself so that you can do all of the amazing things that you do. And, that's advice I've had to tell myself sometimes, because it's been tough times.
Like, we help each other to remind ourselves, hey, you have to, exactly what you say. So just take time for yourself. Make sure that you nourish yourself first, because you have so many things going on. That make sure that you don't wait. Make sure that you just go for it. If your presence is going to make a change, just go for it. Don't listen to criticism. Don't listen to the doubts. And that is the power of the support network. You just reminded me. That's the advice I gave always to the young moms. Sleep and have a support network, because that's all. Anybody that is taking on anything new, definitely that's the only thing you need to do, is just make sure you take care of yourself and have your support network. Thank you so much, Alexandria. This has been a pleasure. We definitely look forward to hear so much more from you, and just to share not only that energy, but that clarity and that focus that is just guiding you, the sense of service and responsibility for this community and familia. So we love it. And thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been a real pleasure. I am so grateful for the work that HEI does for our community. And I am always here. So if anyone watching or you all need anything from me at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here in service.